Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of the Sporting Club Ireland podcast. As you can see, unfortunately, this is a solo recording. I was meant to be joined by a very special guest, but unfortunately, well, they had better things to do. So I'm going to record this. Whether I release it, I actually don't know. Even if I do, I'm sure it'll probably sit anywhere between 0 and 2 listens. But there was so much sport on yesterday and so much to talk about. And two of my favourite teams, Ireland in the rugby and Galway, whether it be hurling, football, or in action, and both managed to win. So here I am. And with that in mind, I'm going to kick off with the Nations Championship. The new format that there's been mixed reviews on prior to yesterday. I think after, the spectacles put on yesterday, the good attendance mainly, I think it probably won a lot of people over. So I loved it. I got in the France, New Zealand game, Ireland, Australia game. I saw some of Wales and Fiji. I saw all of England, South Africa delayed. And I caught a little bit of Argentina, Scotland. It's pretty burnt out at that point after taking in All Ireland hurling semi-final as well. So no better place to start than the Ireland-Australia game. And it was a good win. So rugby media, rugby Twitter, I'm talking about Irish rugby media, Irish rugby Twitter, and Irish rugby people in general, the expectations now of this Irish group, it's gone through the roof. And generally, no matter what they do, it's probably not perceived good enough, besides maybe the performance against Scotland and the performance against England and some performances that really kind of, I suppose, capture the imagination. But they won in Australia yesterday, away from home, with a lot of bodies down. And although it probably wasn't their greatest performance of all time, and that certainly they left a bit out there, it's difficult coming into camp. Like, club teams are together all year round. Andy Farrell gets these guys for a small build-up, and then that's it. You're meant to be ready to go from week one. And you look at their injury list. So Kellen Doris was out prior to the plane taking off. Tommy O'Brien, Ryan Bird, Paddy McCarthy, Jack Boyle, Jack Crowley, Edwin Adogbo, Tom Farrell, Matt Hansen, Calvin Nash, Andrew Porter, Shane Bolton, and Rob Balaking pulled out right before kickoff yesterday. So with all that in mind, to come away with the victory in Australia is impressive. Now, what got them that victory, and maybe the sum of all the parts, probably wasn't quite as impressive, but let's break it down. So I'm going to go to each player, a little bit how the game went, and we'll go from there. So Tom O'Toole, he's just gone over to the loose head sided scrum in recent times, and I think he's actually stood up really well. Given the fact that he'd be probably 4th, 5th choice loose head at the start of last season, it's an incredible rise. And unfortunately, Jeremy Lockman came on and put his head at the wrong side and looked nasty. So he didn't last too long in the game. So Tom O'Toole had to go deep into his tank, and I thought he played well. Dan Sheehan is one of the best rugby players in the world. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes the lineup doesn't work. And unfortunately, at key times, it hasn't worked. I'm not blaming Dan Sheehan. I'm not blaming Paul O'Connell. I'm not blaming James Ryan. There is, again, the sum of all these parts. But, the first line out yesterday we lost, it led to an Australian try. You get into great attacking positions and you lose those lineouts, it's deflating. And there's no doubt about that. And I'm not saying you have to get everyone right, but 8 times out of 10 when you're 5 minutes out, you got to win those. And now the lineout went well, and there was some good more stuff as well. But to win a World Cup, you have to be right up there with accuracy. And still a bit of work to do there. And on that, defensive lineouts are so much better these days as well. Like, so there's a lot to get right. Tyke Furlong, fair play, another good shift. He's finding something later in his career and gave a lovely pass for the try just before half time as well in interplay. So great stuff from him. James Ryan, a lot of unseen work. He's a real workhorse and he's very valuable to the team. Look, he let one fall. Bad pass, I think, by Jemison. Maybe there was one other mistake, but overall, again, just a lot of work, a lot of grit. Gets off the line quickly. Maybe once or twice too quickly yesterday, but he's a real, he's a catalyst for this team. And Big Joe, Big Joe is what we need in these games. He's a big guy. He's getting better. Sometimes he's in and out in games. I thought it was good yesterday. And look, the ceiling's very high for Joe. Keane Brennergast came off the pitch, I think, with 17 tackles, probably a lot of ruck entries. I thought he was good and he got his try. Look, I'm a fan of Keane. I thought he had a great season for Connacht, so credit to Keane. I think he's good and he deserves another start next week. Josh is always 7, 8 out of 10, probably more 7 yesterday. Wasn't his most, I suppose he wasn't front and center as he often is, but the expectations for Josh are quite high and he normally delivers. So I still think he's good. Hopefully by Eden Park he'll be just a little bit sharper. And I thought Jack Conan was excellent. Thought he was very disruptive at their ruck, a battle we lost badly in the first half. And, he carried well, a lot of tackles, good shift. Jimison the same, another guy who you're kind of expecting to sit at the 8, 9 out of 10. And again, someone's kicking was excellent. His decision making was pretty good mainly. I did mention that pass to James Ryan. I thought that was a little bit poor, but overall, again, he's brilliant. I don't remember seeing Craig Casey come off on the pitch, so that just shows how important he is to the team. Sam Prendergast, the much maligned Sam Prendergast. Good outing. He kicked well. He always passes well. And he put his body on the line in defense. He nearly got killed by Rob Valentini and just straight back up. So he's a brave young man. And once he gets that right, he's going to be an incredible player. And we can see it's not from lack of trying. As someone who played rugby at a much lower level and is a terrible tackler, you can see he actually wants to do it. So that's good. Attacking the line again, though, unless it was the game plan, and maybe it was, every time he got the ball, he was a little bit behind the gain line. He was offloading it to a pod or a forward, and it was up to them to make the decision. So, as I said, maybe that's the game plan. I'm not sure. I'd like to see him attack the line a bit more besides when it's the loop play. He's got pace. If he becomes that threat, it takes the attention off Stuart McCluskey, the forwards and stuff like that. And his double pop to Nick Timoney was exceptional. So look, I'd say a good outing. Would I have changed it up after 60 minutes? I would. I'd have brought Foley on to try and attack the line a little bit more. Just show different pictures. And kept our best player on the day, Hugo Keane, at full back. But Andy Fragle's had the big bucks. I do not. I'm one of these couch potato pundits that I keep mentioning. But no, delighted for Sam. I hope he keeps it up. Stuart McCluskey, look, he kind of picked up where he left off. He's a guy who's loving his rugby. He knows his value. He knows what he can do. He's playing with a lot of confidence. So, yeah, Stuart is a key man for us, and a huge man for us at the World Cup. Gary, a lot of good stuff, a lot of big hits. He really does put his body on the line like a missile. Misses some, but that's risk and reward here. Nice little pop pass to Gary Ringrose for the try, or to Hugo for the try. Apologies. So again, yeah, pretty good performance overall, individually. And, Jimmy O'Brien didn't have a lot to do. Fine. He's a good player, good season. So glad to see him get an opportunity. And Jimmy Osborne, wing definitely isn't his best position. Battled hard, but he's definitely more valuable centre or probably full back. And Hugo was immense, immense. The guys coming off the bench, Ronan Keller, usual impact. Jeremy unfortunately got injured. Thomas Clarkson was good, got his try. Ty Byrne, good to see him back, was going into the game. So, expect him to start next week. Nick Timoney was very good. Unfortunately, Craig didn't get on. Frawley was good at full back. And who was our lad? Bundy. Bundy's Bundy. He was lucky at the end of that bounce, but he just brings a lot of energy when you're trying to see out a game. So I always like to see Bundy there. Now, the match itself, I would say Ireland's offensive system looked rusty early. We had 3 tries against us after, I can't remember, the 23 minutes. I imagine that wasn't on Andy Farrell's bingo card. So that was disappointing. But you got to take into account, as I mentioned before, it's the first game of their new season. Like, their season is broke up to compartments. So you've got 6 nations, July, November, and that's the international windows. So it's much more difficult than club rugby. So you expect some, I suppose, inefficiencies in these games. But a lot of character to stay in the fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have to say, probably the turning point of the game, I'd say we'd all see this, was Hugo Keenan's try-save tackle on Joseph Suoli. If that goes in, it's a long way back. And very close after, Ireland go the length with some incredible face play and get a try. And I think it's incredible as well, like, because what are Irish should be lacking? We probably don't have the top end pace of other countries. Now, again, Stuart McCluskey, for example, he's exceptionally fast. Hugo Keenan is back to that pre-injury pace. Like, he needed that break. It's doing the world of good. He looks fast. When Robbie Balogun came out of the team, like, you are missing that top end pace. And that's probably why we've had James Lowe, Matt Hansen, and these kind of wingers to pop up anywhere and just add layers to our attack, and we have to attack differently given our speed, probably given our size, and to keep eating at the top table, and for us to think smart. And he does that. And, that was an incredible try just before half time. The little 5-minute tap penalty was exceptional. And look, for the first try, Stuart carried well and Keane Prendergast did well to get over. So it was good stuff in a lot of cases. And winning ugly is still winning. So, if Ben Thomason had got that kick, it'd be different kind of feeling around everything today. I'm sure in camp it would have been heartbreaking, and even for I suppose the armchair supporter I am, it would have put a bit of a dampener on yesterday, and I got to enjoy the rest of the game. So, where else? What else can we bring into this? So, what worried me? I suppose, I think, as I mentioned, like, if we can get our line out operating 90% plus, and I don't know what the stats are from yesterday, I really don't. I'm just trying to look here at the stats as I speak to you. If we can get our line out, it's a good attacking platform, and our scrum's solid when we get those attacking platforms. This Irish team are a very good side. Very good players, a lot of smart rugby players, and on any day we could probably beat anybody. But you've got a week now. Japan beat Italy yesterday. I didn't see that one. I think he'll probably give the likes of Billy Bowen a cap, maybe Brent Ward, but he might not, because it's only 3 weeks, so maybe he sticks with what's his perceived main team. They want to be firing on all cylinders by the time to get to Eden Park. But all in all, a good win, great character shown, job done, winning ugly away from home. Hats off to Ireland. Now, South Africa. My God, are they still the benchmark? I don't know if many of you guys watched that game. I'm talking as if anyone's actually going to listen to me. But anyways, hey, delusion. It's one of my strong points. They were incredible. So within the first, was it 17 minutes or maybe 13 minutes? I'm not sure. They had 3 tries, 11 minutes. So currently Ireland's Chelsea and Colby with that crazy step and Thomas Dupois. They're so strong. So 17-0 up in such a quick time frame. And like the amount of bodies they're missing, like Sasha, Eben Nesbitt pulled out, Sia Cleese pulled out, obviously OG Sneeman's out, Lou Diager, Bongi, Quagga Smith. I'm sure there's a ton more I'm missing. But their strength in depth is incredible. They're actually quite scary. Like, I don't think this England team are a bad side. I actually think there's some big bodies. But they just couldn't get into the game. I know they had a bit of a period where they got 2 tries before halftime when South Africa were down to 14. And that was great character. Don't get me wrong. It was great character. But you never felt they had a grip on the game. Like, South Africa winning the kicking game. They were mopping up all the scraps. They're rucking exceptional. Jasper Wiese was like, he's incredible over the ball. The new cap, Paul de Williams or whatever his name was, again, he was causing havoc with the breakdown. So every bit of ball England got was slow or a scrap. So there isn't a lot of weaknesses in the South African army. Armory, whatever. And I look at it from an Irish perspective. How do you get on top of them? So your rucking has to be on point. It has to be quick ball. Is there space for chipping behind them or little putting them on the back foot? Can you get them on the edge? They're very hard to get on the edge. I thought they strangled England yesterday. They really did. Good impact off the bench again. And they're the standard bearers, no doubt, as we head into the 2027 World Cup. Those guys are the standard bearers. So, yeah. And I watched New Zealand France. Now that was jouet. Incredible stuff. Fast pace, great skill, just power pace from both sides. It was a fantastic game of rugby. Like, as a rugby fan, you couldn't just love it. Like, you know, Jalibert is so flamboyant, so box office. Jordy Barrett, Damien McKenzie, Arde Surveyor, Luku. I named those guys because they're the guys I admire so much. But there was great stuff across the board, X Factor everywhere. France had enough chances to win this game. I wasn't sure about the disallowed try when it was perceived knocked on. I don't think that was a knock on. Didn't agree with like Eric box kicking as well with less than 2 minutes on the clock. I mean, I think just you got to go for it at that point. But they'll take a lot of positives. I mean, you know, look at the bodies they were missing, and their strength and depth as well. Probably second only to South Africa. Can't wait till they play again. So again, New Zealand look good. Like Dave Rennie's he's gonna implement some real steel into that side, and there's no doubt about that. And they'll be hard beat, and Ireland will be given one hell of a test in 2 weeks' time at Eden Park. So yeah, credit to Japan, big win against Italy. Just saw the highlights, but you know, no walkover for Ireland next week. So Eddie's building something, and a big win for Scotland against Argentina. I had it on the background. I was burnt out at that point, and like they seemed always in control. So that was good for Scotland. Have to check the fixtures now on Ultimate Rugby while it's here in front of me. And next week you have so New Zealand, Italy. Okay, that'd be tough for Italy. Australia, France. Ooh, that'd be a good one. I probably still fancy France. Us against Japan. Ireland to get the job done. Fiji, England. Oh, I watched Fiji. Man, they play insane rugby. Like their offloading game is incredible, but it's tiring. Like they're a coach killer in a lot of ways, as much as exciting. Like they have the skill and ability to beat the likes of Wales and even England, but it's just they make too many errors. When you're have like 20 plus offloads and a half and about 15 plus handling errors, as exciting it is to watch, it's not how you win rugby. So probably go with England there getting back in the horse. And then South Africa against Scotland. Well, Scotland will give it a go, but no doubt that's South Africa will fancy that one. And Argentina, Wales. Well, I have to say Wales is fancy it. Argentina were poor last night, but you just don't know. So anyways, good opening weekend to the Nations Championship. So if anyone has listened this far to me waffle on, it's kind of a bit like therapy, I think, to me. And my sport obsession. So thank you. And then on to Galway. I had Neil McManus on last week, and credit to Neil, he picked a Galway victory, and yeah, and he almost called it as to how it might go in a lot of ways. So credit to Neil McManus. I don't know how many people gave Galway a real chance outside the group, but their intensity, their work rate, Jason Rabbit's influence, Neil O'Donoghue deserves enormous credit. Cork just they simply couldn't cope with Galway's second half pressure. That's just reality here. They didn't just win, they dominated the second half. And maybe it's a case sometimes tactics don't matter, but in this case, I think Neil's are spot on. Hunger. Galway looked hungry. Like Derek Fahy, for example, when I think it was Neary, it just missed a goal chance. He comes up with a great save. At that stage, Galway are almost home and hose, but maybe not quite. Cork had a goal at that time, then who knows? Like Joshua Ryan, Trayers, and then Darren Morrissey. Exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. Like once they put Trayers back on Hayes, that curbed his influence, and he is an unbelievable hurler. Poor Dai Burke, like on one leg. Like he is, he'll go down in Galway folklore history as one of the all-time greats. He's just a mammoth of a man, mammoth of a player. But like, he was struggling. Like he really did look that he was definitely struggling with that leg. But Micheál Donoghue kept him out there. He's a leader, and his influence grew in the second half. So this is why these guys get paid the big bucks. This is why Micheál Donoghue already has an All-Ireland. This is why these guys back in All-Ireland final ahead of schedule. Pádraig Mannion, again, another all-time Galway great, had a great game. Ronan Glenn was wonderful. He was, for me, with Jason Rabbit, heavy contender for man of the match. Two midfield boys, Glean and Gavin Lee, strong work ethic. Thomas Mannion contributed 4 points again, real unsung hero. He missed a few, but he's not afraid to shoot, and he comes up with some great key scores. So I love him as a player. I heard him interviewed on BBC after. He seems like such a nice fella, so enthusiastic. He just loves Ireland. He loves to see that. Cathal Mannion, his influence was pretty big in the game as well. Like, played that sweeper role. I don't know if it's a sweeper role. He just played that kind of. He was all over the place. And Neil McManus said he'd do that, and he played it very well. And it really did get into Cork's head. So yeah, and then Darren Neary. No, is it Darren Neary? Darren Neary. It's Darren Neary. It's Darren Neary. It's Darren went really well. Conor Whelan chipped in with his few points. Jason Rabbit, as I mentioned, was just absolutely exceptional. And Aaron Nyland, quite day for him, but he'll have another chance in a couple of weeks' time. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So good by Galway, and look, then you had some good impact off the bench with Connor Cooney. Fleming got a point. So, yeah, Galway really, really pulled that one off yesterday. They started well, and when they went like 112 to 1-7 down, I think that was the score. I was like, I just felt, I thought Cork were going to run away at that point. Because Galway missed a few shots. And I said to Neil, and I'm not an expert, obviously, I said, Neil, Galway need a high percentage rate, shots on target. And I was like talking 90%. But it turns out like Galway had a mass load of wides. But then they showed character and, they got it back to, I think was it 112, 113? And Connor Whelan missed a sort of easy one before half time. And then I was like, oh no, again. But they came out and they scored off the puck it off or throw in or whatever it's called. And they never really looked back from there. Like, I think Brian Hayes had scored 6 in the first half. He scored a point in the second half. Alan Connolly done okay. Yeah, got a couple of points. Manny Freeze, actually. Alan Walsh got the goal. Never got into it. Barrett, decent. Felt sorry for Fitzgibbon and the 2 yellows that led to the red. He's a good character, good player. That was harsh. Midfield died out in the first half. Mark Coleman didn't have his usual influence. The Downey boys, one of them went off badly injured or injured. So, on both the fullback, the fullback line were on cards for fouls on Rabbit. So, and Paul Collins, I keep saying names wrong. Patrick Collins. His arm must have been quite sore today with all the kick out or puck outs he had to do. So, look, brilliant for Galway. Mihal Donoghue is shrewd. Neil McManus, again, who watches a lot of hurling, pointed out that he saw a difference in these guys from the very first league game that someone like myself would not see. I suppose everyone will see yesterday. So whoever comes through now in this afternoon game between Limerick and Clare, they Galway are no longer in the long grass. And whether it's John Collier or Brian Lohan preparing for Galway, they'll be preparing well. So I suppose that was nearly Galway's free swing. People will know now that this is a very serious outfit and there'll be certainly no one underestimating them. But massive credit to Galway. What a performance as a Galway man, buzzing, and hopefully they can do the same in 2 weeks' time. Just on today's game, I had picked Limerick. I'm sticking to Limerick, but I think yesterday's game will give Clare lots of confidence. I think they'll look at that and say, right, why can't we? And why can't we? So, yeah, exactly. And that's it. World Cup then. Obviously, Cape Verde, huge praise. Look, they're one of the stories of the tournament. Such a tiny nation playing fearless football, going toe-to-toe to Argentina. These are the stories that make the World Cup magical. And Pico Lopez, I was aware of him prior to the World Cup. Not sure everybody was. Carl at OTS Media does a great job at him. Paul at Irish Football Fan TV just gives him a lot of love. But he's got a lot of love. I think he's got up to 100k followers now. Not quite the same status as the goalie that can retire on this, but it's nice to see, the guy from Crumlin plays with Shamrock Rovers, kind of latter end of his career, playing a World Cup and put on such a performance against Messi and co, and having played Spain and Uruguay as well. It's Ride the Rovers stuff, it's the stuff I would have dreamt of that I'm sure a lot of people would have dreamt of. So, yeah, brilliant run for Cape Verde. Gave it everything, and congratulations to them. Congratulations to Pico. And what else? Yeah, Canada, they're out. So, one of the host nations are out. France, they had a real parked the bus effort against them last night, so they got through, which is good for football. Look, nothing against Paraguay, but those type of tactics are like snooze fest stuff. Like it's horrible stuff. So I'm glad France went through. They're clearly, in my opinion, by far the best team in the tournament, but time will tell. Then you got Mexico and England tonight, so early morning. And yeah, I mean, look, do I know many of the Mexican players? I absolutely do not. Very few, in fact. Obviously, a lot of the chat has been about, well, Liam Gallagher thought the attitude, but the actual altitude. So altitude is a thing. I'm sure it'll be somewhat of a thing, but you know, Tuchel has a big squad. It's got can make subs at the right time. So look, it'll be different. The Mexicans are used to it for sure. They have a good record there, but I don't think it'll be what decides the game. I think England have enough quality personally, but then I'm saying that without knowing much about the Mexican team. So I don't know. But hey, look, time will tell. Anyways, look, that's it. I've yapped on now for 31 minutes. We promised an episode either Sunday evening or Monday morning. And then Friday morning was kind of an interview format one. So I don't think too many people will have listened to me, but you got to be consistent. So that is it. Episode 8, done, dusted. If anyone does listen and enjoyed the solo format, let me go. I invite any negative comments. And yeah, looking forward to our next 15, 16 weeks guests. They're all very kind to come on and chat with me. I'm excited for it. I'll try and get better as I go. Obviously, like, this is not my bread and butter. I'm not a media guy, I'm not a pundit. I talk a lot of rubbish into Instagram. That's about the size of it. So again, yeah, thanks to Nova the Digital for helping me with the podcast. And yeah, look, the plan is get bigger, better, and kind of get that audience kind of sits between business and sport. We don't plan to be an off the ball. Don't plan to be a Stephen Bartlett. Something sits in the middle, and if people are interested enough to listen, we're very grateful. And that's life. All right, everyone, live the dream. Thank you. And we'll be back on Friday morning.